we started. So thank you for attending this press conference today. What you're about to witness today is historic in nature, and if we are successful, it will be monumental. As far as we know, no one has ever organized a constitutional corporation based on the premises that from this day forward, every action within the state of Maine will be scrutinized and compared to the national and Maine constitutions within and for the constitutions. If we are successful with the formation and structure of this corporation, we the people of Maine, Inc., we will have created a new breed of Maine people, free from political agendas that only benefit the few, but benefit all and defend all. A new breed who will enter the Maine Capitol and municipal buildings throughout Maine, knowledgeable with the mandates of the national and Maine constitutions, and knowing that they must observe and ascertain compliance of all laws under the mandates, authorization, and jurisdictions of the national and Maine constitutions thereof. It has been decades since the national and Maine constitutions were properly used, and now we will have a new breed of Maine people free from political agendas that not only benefit the few, who will approach the process of observing government, judicial, and law enforcement officials, ensuring that they respect and follow their oaths to support the U.S. and Maine constitutions. Our main goals are to return our Maine government, the court system, and its law enforcement to the benefit and the defense of Maine people. Now I'll end it there. I've handed out some constitutions. I expect that you read them. The reason why they get away with what they do is because the legislators don't read the constitutions. They don't respect the oath that they took, and the people at large, the voters, don't read the Constitution either. So how would they know the legislators are getting away with what they do? So it's our goal to make sure that every citizen in the state of Maine receives a Maine Constitution and reads it. And if they don't understand it, they may call any one of us and we'll go through it with you, piece by piece, word by word. Now if you have any questions, I think the three of us are available, and if you don't have a Constitution, we'll give you one.
So a lot of this conversation seems to rely on you guys understanding the Constitution. I know you guys say you'll research it, but why should Mainers listen to your interpretation of what the Constitution means rather than the lawyers?
Well, I'll give you an example right here. Article 1, sections 1 through 24 are your unalienable rights. These are rights that are given to you. They're natural rights. If you're a religious person, they're God-given rights. This is, that first article is yours. Whether you're a policeman, legislator, governor, they must make sure that those unalienable rights are protected and secured. The rest of the articles are how the government is set up. This is what's changed through the years, is they've taken away the ability for us to maintain those rights. It's not our interpretation, it's the Constitution's interpretation.
And also, why would you assume that the average Mainer is not capable of reading those first articles and understanding them completely? It's not written at a lawyer college level. It's written for the Maine people, and the Maine people are the only ones that authorize that. Why would you even suggest that we need a lawyer to understand our laws?
I'd like to give you an example. The Second Amendment in our Constitution says that right to keep and bear arms shall never be questioned. How many gun laws are out there today? How many more are they implementing? We've tried to support some of the legislation opposing them and opposing ones that took more of your right away to keep and bear arms. You have a right to protect yourself. As long as you're not criminally insane and maybe a felon in jail or has not paid his dues. But I believe that even felons, once they paid their debt to society, reinstituted whatever they can for the victim, made them as near whole as possible, that they should also have the right to defend themselves again. If they violate the crime, then yeah, they go to jail if they're found guilty.
That's the perfect example, Wayne, to answer that and the first part of your question. I went into the Speaker of the House's office to meet with the Speaker and the President of the Senate. I was blocked by 2 lawyers. And I quoted, we had a discussion, and I quoted that simple Article 1, Section 16. It's only one sentence. The lawyer that you're referring to that you might need to interpret said, oh, never and questioned, have been through the courts. And it doesn't mean what you think. Really? So you are going to reinterpret and redefine words never and questioned? You see, the lawyers are the problem, not the solution. The people are the solution because most people really can figure out what never and question means. You don't need a degree to do that, yet.
See, even the Supreme Court, they have 5-4 rulings. Sometimes the one that is not in favor is more believable by a lot of people. The opposing opinion, I forget what they call it, I'm not an expert on this, dissenting opinion, I guess is the one I'm looking for. Sometimes the 4 that are dissenting make more sense to the common people than the 5 do. So it's kind of a balanced thing when it gets even to the Supreme Court. Say nothing about the Maine Supreme Judicial Court. They can rule one way or the other, and it's just an opinion. It's their opinion, the justices, and they're only human. There are court decisions, many of them, that have been overturned, reversed, remanded for corrections. So we'll leave it at that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got one more.
Go for it.
You guys talked about nonviolence a little bit. Those documents that have been shared, I just hope you can comment on the 1776 option, the 1865 option.
Oh, good. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
On your radio show, Mr. McCarthy, you said that during an interview with the governor,
You said
that
it.
Hallelujah, let's thank you and be done with it.
Say it again.
On your radio show, you said during an interview with the governor that you had said, Hallelujah, let's thank you.
Yeah, and I embellished that. It's a radio show. That's not the conversation in the governor's office. Okay? And there was no them even. There was only the question of, I asked a question, it was responded to, and it wasn't even, it was totally rhetorical, and there was no person involved. It was not targeted at any individual. It was not a threat in any way. It was simply a question of, has the penalty for treason changed? No. Okay. And no one would ask or enforce or endorse lynching, which is what Mr. Tipping would like us to think. Because the due process is what we've been pressing all along. A grand jury, please, we have pleaded with judges and municipal officials and attorney generals and police detectives and Capitol Police, please take our information and investigate it. Had they done that and said, no, we investigated this, we interviewed this person, we went through these documents, we find no criminality, it's done. But they wouldn't do that. They are afraid to look at the indictments. They're afraid to look at the charges because if they found that there was criminal activity or potential criminal activity, they would have to act on it. They love plausible deniability. So if I don't actually see the document in front of me, I can say that I never knew it existed, which is the way they hide. They're hiding. Okay? Now, the other issue was, what? 1776. That was a revolution. You know when the revolution started? Anybody know when the revolution started? It started about 30 years before that, because the revolution, the American Revolution, started in the hearts and minds of the people. The clash of arms was the last resort. The revolution took place 20, 30 years in the hearts and minds of the people of America when they said, we don't have to take this. We're being abused. Had the abuse been even tolerable, we would still be a British colony because we were much more inclined to endure abuses than we were to have a violent revolution. But the abuses continued, and in fact the abuses accelerated. and there became the clash of arms that Patrick Henry spoke of in 1776. How sad, what a sad day that the clash of arms must be answered. And the reference to 1865 was not the assassination of Mr. Lincoln. It was the fact that there had been an exercise of state rights by certain southern states. And when the state rights issue comes up, the 10th Amendment becomes the issue, not the assassination of a president. Totally misleading, totally trying to feed the people the concept of violence. The violence is being done by the yellow journalism these days. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
I'm the one that made that statement referring to 1776, and it was totally meant to say, and I did say, I hope the weapons will not have to be used. We can do this by peaceful means, and that's what I meant. They used pitchforks and muskets back then. I'm not even going to bring a cannon to the State House and try to take it over. I got more common sense than that. That's why I'm here today. That's why I was here back last January, serving the remonstrance to the legislatures. It was eventually given a copy on every desk in there. The clerk of the House did it. To every member, they saw the remonstrance. We got one reply from the governor's office. And he talked with us at length about our issues, and I'm glad he did. But we still have a few issues with him, but at least he talked to us. The others just totally ignored us after repeated attempts, affidavits, legal notices in the newspaper for 3 weeks running. It cost money to do that. They were totally silent. They didn't even say, no, we're not going to answer you. They just didn't. That's kind of a slap in the face from people that are supposed to serve the public. Sorry.
I wanted to bring up one more subject to discuss, and that's Article 9, Section 1. If you read that on your own, you'll see that there's 2 oaths that the governor, all the legislators, anyone who's elected, must take these 2 oaths. And if you read the end of those 2 oaths, it says, "So help me God." If you look at what's been going on in this Capitol for the past 20, 30 years, you will see that these legislators and the governors have violated the Constitution. By violating that Constitution, they have violated the people. And if they've taken those oaths in their heart, where it said, "So help me God," they also lied to God. And if they could lie to God, they sure as heck could lie to us. So what we're trying to do is to get them to work back under the Constitution again and do exactly what the Constitution says. And that's just as simple as that.
We're going to take a job here. We're going to be in Portland at noon, so
Well, it is right. Okay.
If anyone wants to sit and talk, we're available. I am. I'm glad to do it. Because it's about educating. It's about discussing. It's about iron sharpens iron. We're all supposed to be working together. That's what we're doing here.
Now, we've held 6 symposiums so far throughout the state of Maine. We've got one left. It's going to be the 23rd of this month. It's going to be in Portland, Maine, and it's going to be at the Masonic Temple. Now, I see a few faces here that I've seen at our symposiums. I'd like to see those who are here today go to our symposiums, because we've only had a short period of time to discuss a few issues. 2 hours of discussion at these symposiums isn't enough time. If we had 20 hours, we still wouldn't be able to cover a lot of the issues that we've been involved in. So at least get the ball rolling, read your constitutions, and make sure that your legislators guarantee your unalienable rights under Article 1, Sections 1 through 24. And thank you.
is there anybody that didn't get a question?